We're here in Clowetzi's First Nation territory. Each and every beach and landscape has its own history. There's a human history and then there's a landscape history.
Everything about our culture comes from the land. My mother's always taught me that if you want to learn who a people are, look at the landscape around them. You're going to be able to tell everything about a group of people, a culture, by the land that they come from. All of the traditions and all of the food sources, the weather, and all of that is going to dictate how a person lives on that land. As long as the land is here, that culture can never disappear.
This site is very important to the Clowetzis because our ancestral island is just around the corner here, and we know that we lived here for hundreds and hundreds of years. We can probably say thousands. And it's important for us to understand our own history because we've lost so much of it, and this is our personal ancestral history. These are big house depressions. This has got a natural terracing here. Allows like 2 or 3 house deep, we think. So this is a big village site. To understand more about our past helps us understand more about ourselves.
The place we just passed up earlier there was Ancestral Island, and that was a central point for all of the area, coming from south, coming from north, coming from over by the inlet. This is where they all congregated. They had it all, from seafood to mammals. There's clam beds and hunting areas. Quite an abundance of salmon around here at the one time. They actually have a fish weir where they brought all their salmon into and collected all their salmon. They preserved a lot of the fish, sure. I've dug clams through here and hunted through here and just enjoyed being out here. Part of it's the cultural stuff now. Now that I'm starting to understand it and be amongst it, that's what it is for me.
The cultural importance of the Cusum forest area is they were there logging trees, but also trying to preserve trees at the same time. They didn't just clear cut the whole area. It's kind of the last area that we can truly go in and study to see why they did that.
Our people only took what we needed to make it sustainable. We don't want any over-harvesting, and we always thank the Creator for what we took out of the land. And it's really important for our people.
It makes you touch your culture. You're up there and you're seeing like full planks that are pulled off the tree and the tree's still living and healthy, and then go over a couple of trees and you see a stump where they logged a tree, and then 1 or 2 over you see a bark strip tree for clothing or whatever is being used. It just makes you really wonder, you know, why they didn't harvest all of the trees. They left some alive. My daughter just turned 17. It just kind of blows her mind around the fact that, you know, we used to harvest trees as well. It wasn't, you know, logging is a European practice. We just did it in a very different manner. We'd harvest a tree when we need it. We'd bark strip a tree when we need it, but you'd always leave it living so you can have it on for the next generation. And it shows because they're still there for her to see it. So she's able to go out and see what, you know, our great-great-grandfathers left behind in the same area that we're out hiking.
Cedar trees and also the hemlock tree are used in their ceremonial purposes. We would lose all the history and the knowledge of our plants if there wasn't anything left, because it's part of our culture and very important to our culture to have these medicines come back and the plants that are to be used.
We become stronger people, stronger organizations, and are able to do our work in a really powerful way when we are connected to who we are as a people, which means reconnecting to culture, whether that's through resource management, through being on the land, through fishing, through arts and crafts, through ceremony, through tradition, and governance and law. It's all of those things all built into one.
This work's connected to the land because the way that we lived our lives was out of respect of the land. And a lot of the things that we create as carvers are from the land. You know, all the animals and all the beings of the sea that are our two main resources that kept us alive. The land is portrayed in everything that we do culturally. Day-to-day life of my cultural way of being is always engaged in my thinking and what I'm doing, carving. I'd think about the old ways as I sit and carve and do art or just do cultural teaching. It's a part of my everyday life, and ultimately that's what it's about, whether it's land or sea.
The work that the Guardians do, the simple fact that they're on the land, is the important part of it. They're looking after the territory, the lands and the waters all together in one piece. They're also building their relationship with our culture.
One thing that I think that's super important for partners, projects, and groups that we work with is we're not just a guardian, we're ourselves and a guardian. It's who we are as a person, right? It's something that's never going to leave who we are. We bring the culture to the table every time.
The culture is into every aspect of our work. Every day we seem to be interacting with it, learning a little bit more of it. I find that just incredible because not everyday work you're going to be able to embrace your own culture, whereas that's exactly what I get to do.
It's a spiritual journey for me. Well, with the connection, it gives me a better understanding of the territory I'm in and better understanding an aspect of the work that we're doing and what we're striving for our future.
Working as a guardian, it gives a lot of Indigenous people more depth onto why we're protecting it, because a lot of people can look at a plant or a tree and just see those just the way they are, an object, right? Where coming from our perspective, from the Indigenous perspective, we see those things as living things. We know what they do, we know how they function, we know their purpose. So it gives strength to want to do these jobs. And outside of that, it brings back the cultural teachings of what our people used to know and do.
To us, tree is medicine. It gives back life in one way, shape, or form, or helps preserve it, or keeps the health of people in a nice, even keel. We're used to our life being in balance. And for the longest time now, the environment and the way people live and everything, it's just not imbalanced.
It is heartbreaking to see this time and time again where we come to these sites and they've been just logged right through. There's no compensation. We can't bring them back. I guess our dream is that, that we change the way we do harvesting and other things out here so that we can be more respectful to the land and our ancestral path.
We're the ones trying to find man-made solutions with the least detriment to environment, trying to put things back into a balance. The spot we're standing right now is the confluence of the Puntledge River and the Solom River, which become the Courtenay River. And it is just below an old ancient Puntledge village site. I think it was aged to be somewhere around 1,200 years old.
It's a place where my ancestors used to be. It's the same places they walked, it's the same places they fished, they ate, they sung together, they spent time with each other. It's almost surreal to be able to be in the same place as my ancestors were. The river means a lot to me personally. It's a teacher of life, the way I see it.
What I hope for my grandchildren is to learn and be educated about our land, our resources, our plants, to be able to understand the significance of what it means to us to use our own traditional medicines and how to harvest, make it sustainable.
It really feels like a privilege to me to be standing in my traditional territory. And I don't know if that's because I've been removed from this landscape and I've kind of found my way back. I really think that that's the path forward for nations to reconnect with their history, is reconnecting with their lands. I think we all need to start realizing that all of this is part of us and we are part of this. And we need to start reconnecting to things that are important and things that matter.